Hello again, and welcome to this third part of our study in the Book of Ecclesiastes. In this lesson, we're looking at King Solomon and his search for happiness, and a search that was not a happy search for him, in that he did not find happiness in his life despite pursuing other things. In our last lesson, we talked about how Solomon had started off as a good king. He prayed to God for wisdom, and because he prayed for wisdom, God granted him not only wisdom, but he also granted him prestige and power and wealth. Solomon was famous and wealthy. He had it all, and yet he found a way to be unhappy and a way to lose it, so to speak. And what happened to Solomon was that he pursued women that he ought not have pursued, and they led him astray. And that's where we'll begin today's lesson. He went into apostasy because of the women that he associated with. We read of this in 1 Kings 11, verses 1 through 8, and I will not read through this verbatim, but what we read here is that he loved many foreign women, that he loved the daughter of Pharaoh, that he loved women of the Moabites, of the Ammonites, of the Edomites, of the Sidonians, and of the Hittites. And the bad thing about this is these women were from the nations that the Lord had said to the children of Israel, "You shall not intermarry with them, nor they with you. Surely they will turn away your hearts after their gods." And that is exactly what happened to Solomon. He clung to these women in love, but they turned his heart away from the true God, from Jehovah God, to their false gods. And before you knew it, he was building temples for their false gods. And as these women were burning incense and sacrificing to their gods, they were leading him away, and did so to the point to where, in verse 6 of our text, it tells us that Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not fully follow the Lord, as did his father David. But naturally, the Lord could not be happy with that, and so he responded in 1 Kings 11, verses 9 through 13, by telling Solomon that the kingdom would be removed from him, not during his lifetime, but in the lifetime of his children. Solomon had missed out on the true meaning to life. The true meaning of life was not to be found in sex. It was not to be found in wisdom or wealth or honor or prestige. It was to be found somewhere else. The term Ecclesiastes means the preacher, and we know that when Solomon writes and refers to the preacher, that he's referring to himself because of what we read in Ecclesiastes verses 1 and then verses 12 through 13. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king of Jerusalem. Then he goes on in verse 12. I, the preacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem. And I set my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all that is done under heaven. This burdensome task God has given to the sons of man, by which they may be exercised. And so we can tell by the words here that there's a very important message here in Ecclesiastes 4. What Ecclesiastes is about one man's search for happiness as he is nearing death. We can fool ourselves into ignoring the important questions of life until it is time for us to face death, and then we realize what is important and what is not. We think we can live any way we please until a brush of death makes us reevaluate our lives. There are those who feel that they can curse God and deny Him and ignore Him until they lay on their deathbed and face death in the face. Death is a judge who questions the worthiness of our lives. Death is a litmus test. It indicates the quality of the life that we have lived. Death is a knife that divides the world into the fearful and the unafraid, the remorseful and those at peace, the angry and the accepting, and the hopeless and the hopeful. A man facing death, writes Ecclesiastes. Solomon is old by the time he writes this book, and he sees all too clearly that his time here on earth is short. I thank you for watching today, and I encourage you to keep watching. I hope that these short videos will be an encouragement to you and will be beneficial to you. I pray above all that you'll put God first in your life so that you may truly be blessed and so that you will not miss out on the true meaning of life. Thank you for watching today, and remember, God loves you, and so do I.